Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Allen. I'm joined by my podcast partner, former NHL defenseman Tom Laidlaw, who played for 11 seasons in the NHL for the Rangers and Los Angeles Kings. And of course, now he is Mr. Fitness Guru. And, I thought about you this morning, Tom. I actually slept in a little bit. I usually get up around 6 o'clock, and like 6:15, I wasn't up. And my new dogs, my pit bull and my pointer, said, you should really be up because my pointer likes to. I'm at the lake house now. Likes to run up the bank, and he does time trials every morning.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So in other words, so they wanted me up, and I did get up, and then I thought, Tom Laidlaw's been up for 2 hours and 15 minutes. He's already gone on his march. He's pounding the pavement, as he says, and
had a ginger turmeric shot in the morning. Yes.
Yeah, to get it done. You challenge us all to get it done every day. So, one thought occurred to me also this morning. Now that you live such a have a healthy eating regimen, is there 5 things that you wish were actually healthy that you wish you could still?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I can name 5 things. So number one, I don't know if I ever told this story, but it doesn't happen to me now. But for many, many years, for some unforeseen reason, I wouldn't have to drive by a Kentucky Fried Chicken store. I wouldn't have to smell it or anything. It seemed like clockwork. Like every 3 months, I get this huge desire to have Kentucky Fried Chicken. I'd fight it. And then I would go and buy Kentucky Fried Chicken, but I have to buy the whole bucket, like the 20 piece bucket with the mashed potatoes and everything. And then I'd eat chicken for a whole week, feel terrible at the end of the week, and swear to myself I'd never do it again. The cycle would continue. So if for some reason Kentucky Fried Chicken could be healthy, we'll do that. The other one definitely would be the turkey dinner that we have on Christmas and Thanksgiving. It's not the turkey that's a bad thing, but the gravy and the stuffing and the mashed potatoes, and the pies, the whole bit. What other foods would there be? Well, I'm a big pasta guy, but now I eat my chickpea pasta. So I guess if you had regular pasta that could be healthy, I'd go with that.
Yeah.
There's not much else though that I really think I miss. I mean, a nice porterhouse steak, the charred porterhouse steak. Steak isn't awful for you, but have it too often, I think bad. So I think those things. Other than that, we're pretty good.
How about beer or?
Well, I say to everybody too. You know what? It's part of the true grit life is living life all out. So it's getting up in the morning, and again, we call it a march in the morning. It's really a walk, but we're getting the most out of each stride, all that stuff. But the idea is that you're living life all out. So if you want to sit around and have a margarita, which I certainly enjoy, I think that's part of life. It's just that don't ever let that get in the way of leading the other parts of your life. If you're going to stay up and have a couple margaritas at night, you got to, if your thing is to get up at 3:30 in the morning and make the bed and pound the pavement and do all those things, and that's part of life. If you're going to fly with the eagles at night, you got to wallow with the pigs in the morning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you want to dance, you got to pay the band. That's my favorite Bobby Lane story in Detroit. Bobby Lane, you know who he is, the great Hall of Fame quarterback, probably the greatest quarterback in Lions history. And their history isn't very illustrious, but he led the Lions to the last championship. And so the story goes is that he was a big nightlife guy, and he liked to run with his running back, Tom Tracy. Right. And they, would go out and burn the candle at both ends. And one particular day, they went in and stayed out way late. We're drinking till the sun came up, and they had an early practice, and it was a full contact practice. And they got in a huddle, and Bobby Lane called Tracy's number to run the football. And he ran and he got creamed. And then the second play, he called Tracy's number to run the football, and Tracy ran it and he got creamed. The third time in a row, he called Tracy to run the ball, and Tracy got back in the huddle on the fourth time. Remember, this is just a practice. And he said, Bobby, you and I were drinking last night. I was there with you. And he looked at Tracy and he said, Tom, if you want to dance, you got to pay the band.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, and that's a legendary story in Detroit. But and now, how long have you lived this true grit lifestyle where you've?
Well, I think it's evolved really. I would say over the last 2 to 3 years, it's really evolved. Right. When I started, like little things like I think I've told you the story about learning to make the bed properly. Right. Navy SEAL admiral, so that's a good example, because when I first watched the video of him talking about the importance of making your bed perfectly, I didn't totally get it. I'm a guy, right? So I throw my sheets over a little bit, make it look halfway. And then I went back and watched the video again, and it really struck me how much he talked about the importance, and that led you through your whole day and your whole life of doing things the right way. If you can't do the little things right, you can't do the big things right. So that evolved over time, where now it's, making the bed perfectly. It can't just be made; it's got to be made perfectly. You can't cheat. You can't just throw the top blanket over and have the bottom sheets underneath. They'll be all messed up. It's got to be done perfectly. So that's evolved over time. The diet has evolved over time. That's actually one of the good things. I hate to say good things during this time pandemic, but with all this time, like my diet has gotten even better. Like understanding the importance of turmeric and ginger and, when to eat, and avocados and plantains and all that kind of stuff. So again, it's evolved over time. And it's to the point now where, well, I still do find myself, I can still get better at it, right? And I say that to people with everything you do. Don't just assume, okay, this is the best I can do. You can always get better. It doesn't matter what your age or what's going on. So it has evolved over time. So it's
we're a turmeric household too. Yeah. My wife is into it, and zinc is another thing my wife is really into as well.
Do you use liquid turmeric, or what do you do?
No, the capsule form.
Okay. Yep.
Anyway, now have you fallen off the wagon? I mean, have you ever gotten up and said, I'm just a little weary of egg whites. I'm going to have some pancakes. Have you?
Well, even if I did have pancakes, I have protein pancake mix. That's all I keep in the house, is this Kodiak pancake mix, which is higher protein. And, I just don't keep anything bad in the house. So even if I'm, late at night or whatever, or later at night, and you're sitting around, like last night, I had carrots and hummus was my snack.
Wow.
I know.
Well, I mean, everybody likes hummus. I know I do. But as a snack, that's not my first choice.
I know. So like instead of chips, I'll take almonds, and I've learned to roast my almonds. So I'll drizzle a little bit of oil, just light olive oil, and sprinkle them with anything you want, if it's garlic salt or whatever, and then roast my old almonds, and then
the almonds to me sum up the whole fitness dilemma for most people.
Right.
Like if you make a list of all of your favorite nuts, and obviously there are a lot of nuts.
Right.
Like for me, almonds are way down the list.
Yes,
I like a lot of nuts, but the nuts that I like are the ones you're not supposed to have.
Right.
But
if you dress up the almonds a little bit, like just a little bit of salt on them, or whatever you want, a little bit of seasoning, you dash that Mrs. Dash, it's no salt on it, whatever. You can make them so they're not as bad.
Not as bad. Yeah.
It's bad.
I get it, but anyway, we've gotten off the subject here. Yeah. Let's get into some hockey a little bit. I mean, yesterday's news, I think, or this week's news is that there has been no news about what they're going to do on the draft, and they're still trying to sort it out. I still sort of feel that it's going to go, that we're going to end up with that draft because I think the league really wants to do it. And there's been a memo out, as we've talked about in the past, where they've just explained that they just don't feel that you can, that doing it any way close to the normalcy that you would expect just isn't going to work anyway. So let's do it early and try to get some PR value out of it, and to get people revved up about the season that they're going to try to start. And we're now and we've talked about this now for 2 or 3 weeks, but we're starting to hear more about how that players are not thrilled with the idea of living, segregated with their teammates and away from their family. And it appears to me that seems to be a pretty significant issue, because you're starting to hear that the league, is looking at ways to sort of mitigate that, with some visits or something. So anyway, I think there's still a lot of cards that will have to be played before we get open, and I wouldn't want to speculate where we're going to be on that. But Tom, what I did want to talk about is it's occurred to me now that it's going to be different for players. We're trying to figure out how that's all going to work, and they all have their issues. But when we finally open up and have fans, can you imagine how that experience is going to be different now for the fan base? Like, let's think, the way sports has always been is, okay, you're in an arena, you're pumped up, your team just scores a goal, you stand up, you high five everybody standing around you, you're sloshing beer all around, yeah, you're just having just a great time. Now, is the closest person from you going to be 6 feet away, and are you still going to, high five them? And like, we all know what a bathroom looks like, the men's bathroom. When you go to a sporting event, the line usually is, 30 yards or 40 yards long. Yeah. So are we going to wrap that around the stadium now? Are people going to have to drink less so they don't have to go to the bathroom? What's the, is this going to discourage people from coming, or are people just going to say, let's just do it. Let the chips fall where they may.
Well, I guess it depends what region of the country you're in, right? I mean, Detroit's been struck pretty hard there where you are, in this tri-state area here, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Man, it's the thought right now of, so Madison Square Garden is where I played 7 years of my career, and I live in that area now, do a lot of stuff with the Rangers. And you're right, I picture myself in Madison Square Garden the way it was prior to this quarantine period. And you're right, it was like everybody's on top of each other.
Right.
So I did, even the seats. I mean, Madison Square Garden is a beautiful place, but they're trying to get as many seats as possible. So you're right beside people when you sit down, front and back. And so I can't even imagine people around here feeling comfortable enough to go in Madison Square Garden at all right now, even if it was 6 feet, because again, it's a closed in area. And I went to Costco the other day, and everybody's got the mask on and everything, and there's big signs up. They've got like tape on the aisles to show like a one way. They want you to go down one way, one aisle, and another the other way, so that people aren't bumping into each other. But people still were, and they're not bad people. Like, I was in line to get into Costco, and this young couple was behind me, and they've got lines of tape 6 feet apart to show people where to stand. And most people had their mask on in line outside. This couple came up behind me, and they were a nice young couple. They were chatting away, and I turned around. They're like six inches behind me, and they had no mask on. And I had to say to them, I felt bad, but I had to give them the hand, back up. So that's the thing. Everybody, you can think to yourself, I'm going to be cautious and aware while I'm there, but you're relying on other people now to do the same thing. So, man, I have a hard time thinking how that's going to work. But I don't know. Does that lessen over time? I mean, that's a discussion we've had. Does this ever totally go away where we now feel, or is this the way it's just going to be from now on?
No, I mean, I think it will dissipate over time, but I think it's the older generation that's going to have to, get comfortable with the idea. I think the younger people, have already made their peace with, look, the symptoms won't kill me. Some people will have it rough, but not the majority of people. And that's why this illness is so complicated. Because it makes us start to wonder, why do I have to act this way when I'm really not at risk? And that just adds to the, or not at the same risk as somebody else. And, there are, it's just such a complicated deal to try to sort of figure out. But now they're saying that there's a possibility, they're already testing vaccines. So they're clearly putting a rush on that. Of course, there are people that say that's a bad situation too, that you don't want to compromise the usual protocol, which makes us safe, not to give us a vaccine that could hurt us in the long run or that won't work. So, it's going to be a mess. But I saw this morning, what made me think about how the experience for a fan will change is that Disney in Shanghai is opening, and how they're doing everything. They're only bringing in 30% of their normal capacity, number one. And they're going to maintain, even in their lines, the 6 feet, but, they have more space. Just think of concession lines in the ring.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Like, how do you do that? And the other thing too is, we all know what the experience is like when you're leaving an arena. You're just right on top of one another. You're 6 inches, you're shuffling. You're only moving 8 inches at a time. You're trying to get to the escalator or whatever the case may be at your arena. You're just trying to squeeze through doors. Everybody's trying to get out because they know the parking structure is going to take you a half hour to get out. So there's all that going on. Well, how do you prevent that? Like, even if you cut it down, say that we're only going to allow in a 20,000 seat arena, we're going to allow 12,000.
Yeah.
That's still going to be 12,000 people trying to squeeze out of there. And, that 6 foot social distancing will be difficult to maintain. Yeah. So,
well, maybe it's, like it is funny. Costco is my happy place. I'm going to Costco, but it is interesting to go in there now and see some of the things they've done. I don't know how it is out there for you, but they've got one guy at the door monitoring. You just can't walk right in. He's stopping people. He's got a counter there to make sure he knows how many people are inside the building. They've got a woman there that's cleaning all the carts, so you don't go and get your own cart. Even if you've got your own cart, they make you put it back in line. They give you a fresh cart that's already been wiped down. When you go inside, there's, like I said, there's all markings on the floor. There's all the plastic guards between you and the cashier when you check out. And there's nobody's, they make sure everybody stays back as one person at a time. So they've adapted to something new that, like, I think back how Costco was before. And I thought, wow, that never went. It was always, we're right on top of each other. But they've made it work. They found out a way to get it done. So you would assume they can do that at arenas too. The things that is interesting, and I think it's a good point that we're talking about that. But prior to that, now, if they do open up and there's no fans in the building, we're now just watching on TV. The Korean baseball started. And I don't know if you see that, where it's like the cheerleaders on top of the dugouts and they had the face masks on and everything. And then issues, they talked to some Major League Baseball people talking, well, what do you do for noise? Not just for the entertainment value, but teams are used to being able to talk to each other and know that the other team isn't eavesdropping because it's so loud in the building. Well, is that what they do now? Do they pump noise, artificial noise into the building so to give it the atmosphere, plus have that security so that you can't hear? And plus, the trash talking that goes on the ice. Man, if they've got microphones down on the ice and there's no noise in the building and all you can hear is those players talking, I mean, they'll be pushing the
well, we don't need to pick up ambient sound, so so we won't need as many microphones. I mean, you'll need some of them by the boards to get as the players hit the boards, but some of them of those mics are put in to capture the crowd noise, and you wouldn't need all that. I think the noise is a little overrated in terms of the effect it has on the game.
So the noise from the players, like the skating and hitting.
Yeah, I think once you get into it, and it's an important game. Like, I mean, maybe on a Tuesday game that between the Kings and the Red Wings that it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Maybe the noise would help, but I guarantee you, if it's a game to get in the playoffs, I don't think the players need noise to get into it. So,
but to me, it's so. Is it for the players or for the people watching at home? Like, is it that big?
But we've all seen important games, in the World Juniors that didn't have fans, and I've never been bothered by it. And you see NCAA tournament games, basketball, and there's hardly anything bigger than the NCAA tournament, where it's an early round game where it's 1 versus 16, and the 16 team is making a run at them, and you don't even notice that there's no one in the stands. So. It'll certainly be different, and everyone trying to be sorted out. But one thing I did want to bring up, I saw in Texas, I believe it was Texas. I hope I'm not wrong on this, but anyway, it's in some state where movie theaters are allowed to open now, and maybe it is in Texas. But anyway, some places movie theaters are open, and they're maintaining social distancing, so 6 feet between each person. And now because you select your seats in most of the modern theaters, it's easy to do that. But they're at 25% capacity. That's what they report. That they could put in more, even eliminating that. But people, some people are showing up, and I would argue it's those people that went to the beaches when the beaches were open. They're probably at the movies too, because there are some people that simply just are living their life. And I find it curious to me too how militant and outraged, like the vast majority of this country in America, and I'm assuming even in Canada, because they generally sort of mirror us in general terms. I mean, there's some differences, but in this, I bet they're the same. It's more than 70%, and some polls I've seen over 80% of the people say, look, don't open up too early. We don't want this to happen.
Yeah.
But those people that aren't for this, they're belligerent about it. You see on social media, people are just outraged. You can't tell me what to do. I've heard stories of on Facebook of people telling people to put a mask on and being.
One security guard got shot. Didn't he ask a woman to put a mask on her child, and then she shot him? Was that?
Well, yeah, and yesterday, and I've seen the video of this. A guy was in a dollar store, and they told him he needed to wear a mask if he wanted to come in. So he walked up to the person who told him that and wiped his nose on her sleeve.
Oh, Jesus!
They called the police and they arrested him, and they're charging him today.
Yeah.
With that, and I don't think anybody's outraged by that. I mean, that was just clear. And the other one too, and I haven't seen this. Maybe you have of a guy pushing a park ranger into the water. Have you?
Oh, I heard about that. I didn't see it.
I've heard about it too. I haven't seen it, but apparently he's going to be charged as well.
See, I agree with that. Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. Like you and I have talked about this in the past. You and I don't agree on politics, but when you and I have a discussion about politics, we don't get like I hate Kevin Allen or you hate Tom.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I don't get it either. And I fear there is some politics that's sort of crept into this. Where people see it as a red state, blue state. I mean, even last night, our president alluded to the fact that Republicans aren't interested in giving money, and he didn't call them red states or blue states. He called them mismanaged states, but he knew. Yeah, everybody knew what he was talking about. The Republicans don't want to give money to mismanaged.
And he's calling it bailouts, right? Because he's blaming it on the virus. He's blaming it on mismanagement from the past. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just can't imagine not giving money to New York, considering how important that Manhattan is to the economy and so forth. But anyway, so we started on this conversation, and it's going to be interesting to see how people adjust. I don't think it'll be forever. I think we'll have to do this for a short period of time. But I do think it's just going to be the weirdest thing. I don't know. I think what happens on the ice and the reaction to that will be dearly the aggravation as the bathroom line situation, the concession line situation, how you enter and exit the arena. People are going to be standing around. Are we going to have to take temperatures at the door? They're doing that some places.
So what does that do economically then? I hate to go back to that, but that's good. I guess my days as an agent. So now not as many people. So the hockey fans are the hockey fans. They're not allowed to go to the games anymore. So those fans that want to see the games that aren't going to go now, they'll be staying home watching on TV, supposedly, correct?
Yeah.
Does that mean that there's some, at the end of the day, there's some benefit that now the TV ratings go up, therefore advertising dollars go up, and then the TV?
Well, I mean, if the ratings went up, it'll be an opportune time because we're heading toward, a negotiation for a new contract. There's been a lot of discussion about that. There'll be a second, network. Maybe ESPN will have a chunk of it, like we see in some of the other sports. So, I guess it could have an income back. But this is still a gate revenue-driven league, so we have to get the fan base back. And to be honest, the experience of hockey is best served at the arena.
It is. Although I think for people that, like we've talked about this, the people that understand the game. I mean, yes, I enjoy going to the game, but I enjoy just as much watching it.
Oh, me too. But I don't know that our experiences are different because you were a player and I was a writer for so many years.
Totally.
And I don't even have. I can't even distill my experience because, I see things differently. Like I've never the outrage that fans have over wins and losses. I've never been able to muster that because I don't think like that.
Yeah, I know.
Like I can watch even if my team loses. Like if it's a great game, I'm not happy that if it's my team, if I'm watching, say. When I was a hockey writer and I'd go and watch the Lions just because I grew up in Detroit, I want the Lions to do well. Like if they lose, I'll shake my head and say, same old Lions, and everything else. But I lose no sleep over it. Like some people, do just because that's it. And I'll bet as a former player, you're the same way. Like,
I mean, we would go to, if I go to Madison Square Garden and watch the game, I'm totally cheering for the Rangers. But if the Rangers score a goal, everybody else in the building is standing up and yelling and screaming. I just sit there. I'm excited for them, but it just doesn't, I don't come up that way. And the same thing was when it's funny because if people don't recognize me at first, and then the other team scores, the visiting team, and I don't react to that, people start looking at me like, what the heck are you doing here? Like everybody else is into the game so much, and I'm just sitting there. And then, especially where we're with the Rangers, they put the alumni all in a certain area, so people pretty soon figure out, oh, that's one of the players, and then we go from there. So, yeah. Hey, what's the we haven't talked about this in a while. One of the rumors going around, one of the things on the table is that if and when we come back and start the season, they would do like a 24-game tournament and then have the playoffs after that. Is that still on the table?
Well, I thought that was going to be I don't know I think everything is on the table. I thought that the playoffs, at one point they were talking about a 24-team playoffs where we'd have an early tournament. One of the reasons that they want the regular season completed is sort of a fairness thing for the teams that are on the bubble. And I think some players have suggested that, look, and the way we could accomplish that is a 24-team tournament, and by that maybe we'd play like a six teams in each division, the top two seeds, so they play off, and then we cut that down, and then we have a normal playoff after that. So
they would finish the regular season as it is, or get some more games in.
Well, I don't even know if we have to finish the regular season if you bring in 24 teams. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there are 7 teams we can identify that can't make a case to get in the playoffs.
I'm looking at them now. When you got Detroit and Ottawa, San Jose, LA Kings, Anaheim, New Jersey, Buffalo, those teams you'd say are pretty much out of a playoff spot.
Right. As there's 7 of those, there should be at least 7.
Right. Yeah. Those are 7 right there. So what does that do though to those guys? So did they not come back and play at all, those teams?
I think so. None of that has been decided. Right. So, I mean, even as part of that plan, I think they're sort of going to watch what's happening. Right. But I think the plan that seems to have the most steam to it is, we have 4 sites, 1 in each division. Teams show up and play there, and how many and what they do is kind of what they're sorting out, and what will it lead into. I think
wonder though too, because if that's what happens, so obviously they're throwing out the remainder of what the old schedule would look like, and then have a new schedule moving forward.
Yeah.
But then those guys I'm thinking like the San Jose's and Detroit's and those teams that are so far out of a playoff spot, they're coming back to play for nothing really.
Yeah, no, that's right. But I mean, don't you got to count on pride? Because that's what ends up happening in every season anyway.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but if the Red Wings and Kings are scheduled to play under normal circumstances, we don't say, it's late March. Hey, you guys don't have to play.
Yeah, I guess it's somewhat different, right? Because now they've sat around for all these months. Now they've got to get themselves back into shape, come back and play meaningless games. It's not like you just continue to go. So it's somewhat different in that way. And then they're going to say, okay, well, we're not going to make the playoffs anyway. So now I've got to now get more time off, and then I'm going to have to get ready again, watch the playoffs again, and now get ready for another season coming up. So it's somewhat different. But I get it right. It's 50 young kids.
Yeah, you and Drew Doughty can hang out together. Yeah, but I mean, you're a team guy. Like that's what you were known for. So if your boys are coming back, and they're going to war, you're going to be there with them.
Yeah, you're right. And it does make me think back, and I think to myself, and maybe in some ways you want to go even harder, right? Because you've had such a bad season leading up to it. Like personally and as a team, you want to come in and show that you're not that bad. And all that. So yeah.
I read something this morning, and I wanted to bring that up because it's a reminder too. What's been missing from this, and one of the reasons why they want to have the draft in June is we don't get to talk about the competition and what's going on with the teams. And to me, that's the joy of sports.
Yep.
As a national writer for all these years, I love that I could have conversations about every team and, what are they missing and what are they going to do? Sure. And I saw this morning that The Athletic did an interview with Jimmy Rutherford, and the subject of conversation was how the Penguins were going to afford their 2 young goalies, Tristan Murray and Murray, moving forward. And Rutherford, who's always been candid with the media, said, look, there's probably a way we can fit them both, but that's going to cause us some upheaval in other spots on the roster. So we're going to just have to figure out what they're going to do. And they're both going on in the restricted free agency. And I think Murray is 26 and Jerry's 25. Murray started out slowly, but played better as the season wore on. Jerry was hotter than heck.
Yep.
One of the best goalies in the league for an extended period. And then, just sort of leveled off a little bit. But, when the numbers at the end, Jerry's numbers are really impressive. And I don't know that Murray ever reached a 900 save percentage. Yeah. I don't think he did. And I don't know if this is an easy decision. If you were Jim Rutherford and you could only keep one, which of those two would you keep?
Murray has never, I know they've won a cup with Murray, but he's really never done it for me. I don't know what it is. When I watch him play, I just don't have that confidence level in him for some reason. Like even when Theoren Fleury was there, the Flower was there in the past, he had his rough times, but when he was on, you felt like, well, he's on. You could tell that he was on his game. With Murray, I've just never felt like that. I've never really looked and said, wow, like I can count on him. We know he's locked in, I just don't see that. So I don't know as much about Jerry. I haven't seen as much body of work with him, but see with him, when I've watched them play and he's been on his game, I have much more of a level of confidence. And again, there's nothing specific that I say that about. It's just that feeling when you watch him play that he seems like he's really on his game. So, I mean, they've won with Murray, so you got to give him that. But I like that Jerry a lot.
Yeah, I'm going with Jerry. And also, your starting point with Murray on a salary is I think he's at 11 million over 3 or something like that. So that's your starting point. So you're farther down the road where Jerry's coming off that, I think, an entry level deal.
Sure.
So you're going to probably have to pay Murray more. Would just be my guess.
What do you do? You trade Murray then? I mean, he's got.
I think so. There's the problem is the goalie market is small, and we could have Holtby in the free agent marketplace. Robin Leonard will be there as well. There's a lot of complication, but like if you're the Detroit Red Wings, and you got a young team. Like Murray at 26 is not an old goalie. I mean, would he fit within that? If I'm Yzerman, I'm interested in that, depending on what I would have to give up. That would be, kind of interesting. Anyway, as usual, we've moved by our 30 minutes really quickly. Two things I want to remind everyone of. Tom Laidlaw now does a Thursday podcast. I believe it's Thursday, right? With his New York Ranger buddies.
Yeah, Thursday at 2:00. Yeah, on Facebook Live. Yes.
Yeah, you need to tune into that. I just think that's a terrific format to get old Ranger talk going. It's really good stuff.
We've got the great Kenny Albert that does all kinds of football, baseball, basketball, hockey. We're going to joke around because I keep saying to him, is there any sport that you do not broadcast? One of the best in the game out there too. So he's on.
He really, really is good. No doubt about it. And I want to tell everybody that I'm doing hockeydebates.com podcast with Bob Duff. And this Thursday, our guest will be Bernie Parent.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So you want to tune in for that. You go to hockeydebates.com. It'll be around 3:30 or 4 live, but it'll be there on recording.
He's got a great personality too. He's a funny man.
He does. So Bernie Parent on Thursday on hockeydebates.com podcast. Anyway, thanks for joining Laidlaw and Allen. I'm Allen. He's Laidlaw. We'll be back next week.
See you next week, guys.